Welcome to the Deeper Conversations with Willma, beyond what you know, and where we dive beyond just headlines to unpack real issues affecting our society. Today, I have the privilege of hosting the Mayor of Juba City Council, His Worship Christopher Sarafino Wani, a leader serving his second term with over a decade in public service. At a time when Juba is facing many challenges, from waste management, taxation, market regulation, to public safety. This conversation is about accountability, solution, and the future of our capital city. Welcome to the Deeper Conversations with Willma. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, actually. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon.
Thank you for giving us the honor to be part of this conversation. You are serving your second term. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel, first of all, let me take this opportunity and thank you, Willma, for inviting me over to Deeper Conversations session.
You're welcome.
Well, secondly, I thank Almighty God for giving me another opportunity to come back to the city and serve its people. I feel that my coming back, probably, for me to come and fulfill some of the programs and the projects that I've started in my first 10 years as the Mayor of Juba. And also, I'm of the belief that if you happen to be in a place and you live it for some time, you would have actually reflected back in your, within yourself. You would have known your strength and the weaknesses where you would have done better. And you're given a second chance, definitely you'll be able to correct what you have not done well. And maybe that can be a benefit to the people of the city.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. What are the top priorities you have for Juba, the capital city of South Sudan?
Well, I came back as the Mayor of Juba about 5 months ago, 5 months and plus. And from my initial first day in the office, my priorities are very clear. Looking at what Juba is at the moment and the challenges that are there, I've set two main priorities: how to keep the city clean and how to ensure that the citizens of the city can be able to move around without any obstacles and hindrances. With that, I mean that, doing internal roads to allow people to be able to move freely is a priority. And I don't want to be ambitious, because if you look at a city like Juba, there's so much that needs to be done.
Right.
So almost everything needs to be done. But if you say that you want to do everything at the same time, that's just not possible, So by saying that, I have two priorities. Number one is try and keep Juba clean, green, and beautiful. Yeah, we'll talk more about that. And making sure that the internal roads of Juba are done, roads are maintained, repaired. It doesn't mean that these are the only things we're doing. We have so much within the institution that we're trying to do. Because for me to be able to achieve these two priorities, I don't want to call it reforms. And I always tell my colleagues that I don't want to say it's reforms, because the moment you talk to people about reforms, people get a little bit scared. They get a bit worried.
Right.
Because the word reforms, maybe you want to tell them that what they're doing is not right. But that's not the case. Because from time to time, different leaders, different visions, they have different ways of seeing things, and they want to do them. So what we're doing what I call adjustments within the institution. Looking at our administrative setup, our structures, looking at our financial, disciplines, budget implementations, and strengthening of the budget, and even the budget making. So these are the things that we've been doing for the last 5 months. So these are all priorities for me.
Right.
Yeah. So externally, keeping Juba clean, green and beautiful, making sure that the roads are passable, internal roads of Juba, and internally looking at doing the adjustments. So let me say reforms.
Okay.
That can be able to support the work that we're doing externally. Yeah.
I'm sure you must have observed citizens, and especially business owners, don't fully trust Juba City Council. What are the strategies for them to rebuild the trust?
Number one, when I came at the helm of the institution, I said it very clear. If you go back to to archives and to audio, you will find me on the record saying that I have come to an institution that I know has a very bad image, and I have pledged that I'm going to change the image of this institution. By changing the image of the institution means that I'm rebuilding the trust back.
Right.
Because you can only change the image when people now have a different view about the institution where you sit in. That means that so much work would have been done, to gain the trust of the people back again. Now, what are the issues that have created the mistrust between the institution and the people? And remember, I talked about doing the administrative, restructuring, looking at all these things, because I have a feeling, and not only a feeling, but it's a knowledge that I have that I'm the leader of the institution, that the officers, the civil servants that are in the institution could have lost a bit the direction of what is the core mission and the mandate of the institution, what is the institution supposed to do. And this is normal. It happens in many places, especially when people are not reminded from the top hierarchy, when the visions and the goals are not set very clear, which direction the institution is supposed to go, what is that the institution wants to achieve, because what the citizens see, they see city council as an institution that just goes and collects money from them,
right,
in the name of taxes, and nothing is done. Probably money is collected, it's corrupted, it's squandered, because they don't see so much that is being done. But of course, there is so much into that.
That's a good point. What has been done actually with the taxation or the money that is being collected from business owners?
Before I even go to the taxation and talk about the money that is collected from the business owners, Juba City Council is an institution of the local government that is born out of Article 17 of the Local Government Act of 2009, within the local government structures, because you know that this country has 3 tiers of government. You have the national, the state, and the local government. So Juba City Council is one of the institutions of the local government that is established based on Article 17 of the Local Government Act. And Juba City Council derives its powers from 2 main articles. Articles 53 of the same Local Government Act, and this is a establishment of the office of the mayor, and Article 57, where the powers of the mayor and then all the related organs come in. So Juba City Council was established in 2011, prior to the independence of South Sudan, because before the establishment of Juba City Council, there was only Juba County. And we know that Juba is a cosmopolitan, metropolitan, urban setup. So it's a city. Because if you look at the counties, because South Sudan has 79 counties, of which Juba County, including Juba City or Juba Town, was part of it, was not fit to be a county, because county respond to rural issues. But our citizens of Juba City, they're very urbanized. So you must have an institution that has the implements of an urban setup management and managing its people. So City Council was established based on that. So basically, that gives us 15 years into our establishment and also working for the people. Now, Juba City Council is made up of 3 arms of government. You have the Executive Council, which is represented by myself, the mayor. We have the Legislative Council, right, that develops the laws that we implement as executive. And we have the Judiciary, which is the Magistrate Bench Court. So basically, you have 3 arms of government. Juba City Council, from its establishment, does not have a budget that comes like any other county or any other unit of a government in this country. Comes from a national government based on grants or whatever it is. No. When it was established, because it was carved out of Juba County, and if you would have taken the budget that comes from the national government through the grants to the states and to the county, you would have taken part of it to become budget for the city. You would have actually deprived the county, because the issues of the city are huge. They're big. So a decision was done since 2011 that Juba City Council will be established, but it will go and collect its own revenue for it to be able to operate.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means that for Juba City Council to make its budget, it first has to go and collect the money and then implement the money, use the money for implementation of activities. That's why we said that the budgets of Juba City Council are forecasted budget. Why I say forecasted? Because every year we sit and we say, okay, we want to do ABCD. And for us to do ABCD, we need this amount of money. But where do you get this money from? Okay, we have this, maybe we can collect this much, we can collect this much, and we can do the operation of city. And that's a big challenge. For the record, because I'm not scared to say this is a reality, we have it in the books. Okay. And I'll want to go as recent as what we have seen in the last budget implementation, because our books are very transparent. We at the end of the budget year, we evaluate ourselves to see, based on the forecasted budget and what we're going to collect, how much money did we collect and how much did we achieve. If I would go back to the just concluded budget of last year, because we are now implementing another budget for the year 2025-2026, we have not collected even $3 million equivalent in SSP. Now the question is, can you really manage and run a city like Juba for under $3 million? That's impossible. 1 kilometer of an asphalt road for you to make today, in the setup of South Sudan, it's about $1.5 million. So the whole budget of city council in a year, you cannot even do 2 kilometers of road if you have to do proper road. Coming back to your question, I want to give you one simple example. The priority of this leadership now is to keep Juba clean, right? Green and beautiful. Today, just for me to operate the equipment that I have, and I want to say proudly that Juba City Council today has equipment in terms of waste management in a number that has never been experienced here. We have sufficient equipment. We're able to be everywhere in the city every day. And that could be the reason why we've seen the improvements, because I'll come to you to that, because it's science. We collect data, we keep things and all the information, so that we can be able to guide the work that we're doing. For me to operate this equipment, a month ago, requires about 35 million every day, right? From the cost of the fuel, the incentives and wages and allowances for the workers, the loaders, the pickers, incentives for the drivers, for maintenance of this equipment, tires, repairs, lubricants. It's a whole massive operation. It costs about 35 million a day. Since the problem of Iran, we've seen how the fuel has shot up, right? Our fuel costs have gone up by 60 to 70%. So after this month, we're going to evaluate again. Probably maybe our operation would have gone to about 42 to 45 million on a daily basis. This is only on operations, and everything that's associated with it. Now, if you do this calculation, that gives you maybe about 1.2 billion SSP a month. That gives you about 14 to 15 billion every year, just in terms of waste, right? So if last year I collected 16 billion in revenue, and I'm here going to spend about 14 to 15 billion just to run the operation. So our entire work is just taken around and squeezed into trying to keep the city clean.
How do you make sure that the tax collection is transparent?
Now, how do we make this tax collection transparent? Is a big topic of discussion. Because in this country, for you to be able to collect tax from someone, you must be able to give them a receipt for whatever money you take from them. And this receipt or acknowledgement that you've collected from them, taxes or money in the name of government, has to be a receipt that is controlled by the government, what you call the Form 15. The Form 15 book, that is controlled. Because in any government unit, based on the PFM, that's the Public Finance Management and Accountability Act, every institution of a government must have a finance unit, and this finance unit must have all the structures to ensure that transparency really happen. You have the account section. In the account section, you have the auditors, you have the controllers, you have all this. So it is assumed, and I want to underline the word assumed, that the oversight of how these collections are done really properly, whereby all the collection forms must go through the account section, must go through the audits, must go through the controls offices, and that's how you try to be transparent. But of course, in every system, especially when it's manual, people always develop ways of how they want to beat the system for their own personal gains. I'm not oblivious of the fact that there is so much in the social media and so much in the media out there of how corrupt the officials of city council are. And of course, when you talk about this corruption, it's at different levels, because it's not only about taking money, but even the way how you act and conduct yourself.
Right.
With the citizen who is our client, for that matter, it can also mean that it's a corrupt way of doing things, So we have been studying for the last 5 months. We've been studying, and the first thing that we have decided that it should happen for us to be able to close the leakages and the gaps in terms of ensuring that we have better transparency in revenue collection is that we need to migrate our revenue collection system from manual to digital. This is the way now. In the 21st century, this is the way how revenue is collected, because once you move digitally, it's transparent. So we've started this process already. We started in the executive council or the city council that is headed by myself. Okay. We passed a resolution and we did a proposal, and the proposal is right now on the table of the legislators. They have done the first sittings and they've asked us to go and defend our proposal. So we've gone in and defended it. So I believe that in the next couple of weeks, we'll have this law out.
You led the Juba cleaning campaign on the, I think, 6th of December, which included Governor Emmanuel Adil Anthony and also the deputy mayors. That was such a great move. How's the progress so far?
Well, the cleaning campaign is a routine activity for us because that's the beginning of our activity to ensure that we keep Juba clean. But the campaigns are continuous. Even yesterday was a campaign. Yeah. Right? This was big because it brought in the governor at his profile as the leader of these states where we work in as a subset of a government. I would say that it's really going very well. You see, the cleaning campaign, and the reason why we do campaigns is because we want to raise awareness. Because cleaning of waste or collecting of waste or keeping the city clean, it's not only about going around and collecting. Because you have situations, and we did every day. Yesterday, I spent almost the whole day at the environment department, sitting with the zonal coordinators, discussing with them about the challenges that we see, the challenges we experience, what we get feedbacks, from different quarters of this city and from different segments of the community, of how best we can be able to change some of the ways how we do. Because what we have come to realize that the issue of keeping Juba clean is so much attached to the, mentality of the people. And for you to be able to change mentality, definitely awareness needs to be done. And we have taken this issue of awareness very seriously because we talk about it during the campaigns. And of course, also we demonstrate as leaders that we are part of the, cleaning. Let them see that, we suffer because of that. So they should be responsible because people tend to look up to leaders. And if they see leaders doing things,
they get motivated.
They get touched in one way or the other. That's the reason why we're always there. We're at the front line. But also we have taken it upon ourselves that every function that we go in, if it's marriages for happiness, if it's celebration of something, even if it's celebration of life in terms of funerals, if we're invited and we're present, make sure that we talk about it because it's a big issue. Because the issue of rubbish and waste and poor hygiene, it's connected to our livelihoods. It's connected to life itself. Because we know that if the hygiene is very poor in any setup, then people will get sick. We have mortality rates, especially among children under 5, will be very high. especially in the rainy season. And even for their own aesthetics, for your eyes, they're not nice. It's a sore on the eyes, yeah, that needs to be done. So in the last 5 months, we've upped up our awareness campaigns. We have gone to the neighborhoods, and as I said, I was here before, and I'm back again. We went to the lowest level of the governance of this institution, of this city, which is the quarter councils, the people. They are our representative actually within the neighborhoods. We engage with them continuously. In the last week, I've met them twice. Yeah, chatting about this issue of waste management and other administrative issues. How they should be on board with us and why they should be on board. And I'm very pleased to announce that they're really working hand in hand with us.
Recently did clarify its administrative boundaries of the areas where they work. And it did mention that areas beyond Doha fall under Juba County. Can you explain that?
That's right. As I said, when Juba City Council was established back in 2011, it was carved out of Juba County. So we used to be one Juba County. But for the purposes of all the things that I've explained earlier on, being an urban setup, urbanized people with certain needs that needs urban responses, Juba City Council was established, and our boundaries were made very clear, were set out very clear during the establishment, whereby to the western side of Juba, our boundary stops at Doha. So from Doha, you go to Kubri Haboba, all these places, this is part of the county. To the northern part of the city, we are at the Zentus, that road that divides Gudela Block 6 and Referendum.
Yeah.
So at the edge of the airport, that's the boundary to the northern part. To the southwestern part of Juba, or to the southern part of Juba, is where you engender where the iRadio is. There is a bridge. Central Bank actually of South Sudan, or Bank of South Sudan, is part in the county. It's not in the city, because the boundary is very clear there. So Freedom Bridge, to access it, actually, you go from the city, you go through the territory of the county, and then you go to the Freedom Bridge. And to the southern part of the city, of course, it's the Juba Bridge, the old bridge. And to the eastern part, our division is very clear as the Nile. The Nile is the boundary. So this one brings us to a total of 52 square kilometers as a territory of Juba City. And of course, territories and governance are very important. So whatever you're doing, you just have to make sure that you limit yourself to within your territories. And the reason I'm saying that, because I know what's running in your mind. I'm not a prophet.
I didn't say anything yet.
But yes, sometimes, of course, we do cross-border activities, because Juba County and Juba City falls within the same government of Central Equatorial State.
Yeah.
So we are, sister administrative units that, sometimes we cross our boundaries and borders to try and support each other.
Yeah.
But we have to be very careful of the politics around it.
Because Kubri Habob is always, brought out in topics when it comes to waste management and all that. So it's good to get this feedback from you. You did all the businesses to make sure that they have waste containers. How do you make sure that they follow the rules?
We first of all, we have issued a local order. In the local order, in the absence of a law to it, it's a law. So everyone is required to comply.
Yeah.
And to ensure that people have these containers. And, not people have to have these containers. Generally, if you're going to make a law and you're going to ask people to comply with the law, you have to make sure that the amenities that the law requires the people to comply with is made available.
Yeah.
Either it's in the market I can go and buy, or if it's not in the market, you make sure that a provision is put somewhere. So for the case of these bins, we have them. We made sure that we have enough waste plastic bins, that shops on the main roads of Juba and in areas that are congested are mandated by the law with the powers of the local order to ensure that they have them available. We have them probably a bit cheaper than the price that they get in the market because it's an incentive. Also, we're telling them that for them to have it, we're not going to ask them to pay the entire amount of money. We can give them in installments, to ensure that we support them, because I'm not oblivious of the fact that businesses in the city are going through a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. There are a lot of issues in this economy, right, that are exacerbated by many other factors that are external, beyond our internal problems that we have. And if we want people to do things, we have to ensure that also we give them the enabling environment and the ease of doing things to ensure that they comply, and collectively we participate in the objectives of the activities that we try to do. Mm-hmm. So right now we have not started the distribution of these bins. We're numbering them out.
Okay.
We are doing all the things that we think we need to use in programming of giving out the bins. But in the next 1 week or so, we'll start distributing them. And of course, these are the shops. These are, they were clients. We know them. We know every single shop. I mean, to up to 90% of the cases, we know where they're located. We know who they are. We know where they are. And the reason why I want these shops on the main roads to have these bins is because they're the sellers of most of the commodities that produce waste that happens. And one of the biggest wastes that we have in this city is the plastic water bottles.
Yes.
Yeah? And most of them actually are bought from shops because this is the safest way or safest means to have potable drinking water. So they come from these shops. So we want to make sure that, if you have many shops in many public areas and many, people who do activities in the public, they have this waste, then you will ensure that people also use it to throw them in the bins. Like I said before, even if you arrest someone now, it happened before. You arrested someone and they say, okay, fine. You want me to put this plastic somewhere in a container? Well, where are the containers?
They ask that question.
Yeah, many times, But
my concern is, how do we get the people themselves let's put the business owners aside, like us, the citizens of South Sudan. How can we what is Juba City Council going to do to make sure that we get to comply and follow the rules? Because sometimes even when the bin is there, we get to misplace the containers.
Two ways.
It's a culture that we need to change.
2 ways.
Okay.
Culture is about changing the mentality, awareness. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
We've seen that in our campaigns. We've brought in comedians. We've brought in singers. We have decided not to use mainstream media to show people or to tell people what they're supposed to do. We have gone to social media. We have gone to gossip platforms.
Gossip platforms? That's a good move.
Because,
Interesting.
this is the kind of information that sells a lot in this city.
That's true.
This country, yeah? So we decided to be there so that we can reach out to as many people as possible. 70% of the population of this country,
like gossip,
the youth, right?
Right.
And they're not very concerned with many of these things we talk about here today.
Yeah.
But let's find them where they like to be. Yeah. So awareness is key, really. Besides awareness, of course, the enforcement. Yeah.
That's right. And I think for someone who does not live in South Sudan, they would not understand that the boundaries or the areas that Juba City Council is responsible for are not beyond Doha. So how are you going to work together with Juba County to make sure that they also fulfill their part? Because this is seen as Juba for someone outside. They don't know that this is the boundary and this was not supposed to be your responsibility as Juba City Council.
Mine will only be an advocacy. I think that's the most I can do.
Yeah.
Advocate, have continuous exchanges, because we're doing that with the county authorities. I must say that I have excellent relationship with the county commissioner. As recent as this morning, we're having conversations with him about some of the challenges, because urbanization is moving into his territories as well, into the county territories. So the challenges that are happening in the urban setup definitely also is creeping into his areas. And the reason why he's having all these challenges is because the urban areas, the areas in the county that I consider peri-urban, are getting so urbanized very rapidly, you know? So if you compare urban areas and rural areas, of course, urban areas produce more waste because of the kind of activities that people who are in urban setup, get involved in. So yeah, there are things that we're discussing about. There are things that we have conversed about. We're going to give them as much as we can in terms of support, knowledge, equipment and material support. So that we can be able to, to also get them into the loop so that we can work together.
Okay.
Of course, their issues are not that they don't want to do it, but also they're constrained by some of the challenges that Juba City initially found itself, and we're coming out of it. So we have wealth of experience that they can share with us, and I think sharing the experience is what really matters. Yeah.
Okay. The well-being of the citizens is also a priority to Juba City Council, I'm sure. So, how is Juba City Council making sure that the plastic pollution is being prevented?
Well, see, that's why I was talking to you about the issue of the plastic bottles. Because why do you have this plastic bottle? Of course, the plastic bottles will remain for quite some time, until such a time that every citizen of this city can drink from the tap, right? And this one, I think even cities that have existed many more years than Juba has in the region have not reached that confidence level whereby they can drink directly from the tap.
Yeah.
With my travels, I think about 2 or 3 countries in Africa that I've seen has achieved that level of the trust that they can have on their, on their water distribution system. So the water bottle should remain within our ecosystem, because it supports a very important component of our life, which is water, drinking it, clean drinking water. We have certain projects that we are in conversation with some entities. Besides the awareness and asking people don't dump it irresponsibly, because collecting is one thing, but what do you do with it after that? So 11 years ago when I was the mayor of Juba, it was a problem. It has been a problem, and up to now it's still a problem. And we know that these water bottles should remain there. So we came up with a program and a project that we wanted to create a trust fund. And the purpose of this trust fund was to ensure that we do something about the plastic, bottles. I'll talk about the plastic bags later. Okay. About the plastic water bottles. Because we say that if we don't turn a value into these bottles, the littering of it will never leave our communities. The littering of it will never leave our environment. Because people drink the water, the most useful thing, this is useless, they throw it out.
Yeah.
And we see a situation whereby people driving very nice posh cars, people who are educated, they just open their window and they throw it away. As much as they're educated, I think they have not exposed themselves enough to educate themselves about the environment. Because the risk of this water bottle is huge. We've seen recently some videos circulating, after the heavy downpour of water in Juba, everything is going through the stream, of course, ending up in the Nile. We know that when it's in the Nile, the risk is that it's going to affect our fisheries, and in one way or the other, it's going to come back on our table because, we know that fish is a very important diet, that people eat. So what we're saying in the project that we are putting together and we're building is that we need to put a value on the plastic water bottle. So there has to be a buyback policy. That, you collect plastic water bottles, we'll pay you, right? We take it. We need to have micro, mini, or the initial stages of processing of the recycling process. Because recycling plastic needs many steps and things that we might not be able to support here, but we can start by the initial phases. From our studies, we've found out that these plastic water bottles are useful. You might not generate plastic water bottles from them again, but they use them in making plastic chairs, plastic molds, different things. So we're having this conversation whereby we can have a trust fund. And this trust fund, as much as it's supposed to look at collecting these water bottles out of our environment, our communities, but also it can become a source of employment, especially to youth and to vulnerable women.
You just mentioned that business owners are facing a lot of challenges, and it's amazing that you do recognize that. What do you have to say about startup businesses? They always complain about taxation that hinders them from growing their business.
As I said, in Juba City Council, we are an entity of a government that is mandated to manage affairs of citizens here, businesses included. And for us to be able to manage that, of course, we need resources. And the way how we get resources is we collect fees and taxes. Juba City Council, by law, is only allowed to collect 7 taxes in every year from the traders and the businesses and establishments, including households, actually. But we have not done that so much because of all the conditions. But we want to introduce it. It's very important. These 7 tax bands or fees, all of the 6 of them are collected once every year, right? No, 5 of them is collected once every year. The trading license and name it. One of them is done every 3 months. This is the health cards for people who are involved in providing services that is connected with food, because they must be tested every 3 months to ensure that they are fit to be able to handle food in terms of hygiene and public health regulations. And the last one is the garbage fees that is collected on a monthly basis to be able to allow us to be able to operate on this. But because of Juba as a city and a hub of so many things happening at the same time, you started having different actors and players also coming in and also collecting certain fees and levies. And I find it very difficult even to contest some of these fees and levies that are collected by different entities because, as I said before, in this country, you can't collect money when it's not in the law. So they know what they're doing. Of course, we have the state government has 1 or 2 items in taxes that also it collects from these traders. At the national level, we have multiple entities that also, or players that also come and collect taxes from the same traders. And this has really created a problem, to the traders, fatigue, stress, and us being the lowest level of government and the nearest government to the people, we're the tail end, of course, of receiving all this information that we're getting from our people. And we also try to look into ourselves. What is it that we can do as a city to ensure that we make it easier for the citizens from the way how we conduct ourselves? Because as I said, me as a mayor cannot wake up and say, I want to cancel this tax. It's not possible. It's a law, derived after the Local Government Act, gone through the Legislative Council and passed as a law. I cannot also wake up as a mayor and say I want to make a new law that will take money from people because it can never be like that. So we work within the confines of the law. The only ability we have is to try and find a way how to make it easy. And if there is anything that is major in terms of the structure of the tax itself, and I want to have a change on it, I have to come up with a proposal, take it to Legislative Council and defend it. And we try to do this always. Where my powers allow me, I try to do, and I'll explain to you some of the things we have done. In terms of the other players and the other actors, I try to collect information because also I must say that there are bad people out there. Maybe they're sent to go and conduct the work within the confines of the law, but they go beyond the lines of the law. And I will tell you also, this is inclusive of city council officials and officers.
How is that monitored?
I'm coming to you to that. So what I do, I collect all this data and we call for meetings. And we have very high profile meeting with decision makers of this country and talk on behalf of the citizens of Juba, of the cries that they have, of the traders of Juba, of the difficulties that they have. Some, their business are even almost collapsing because they find that they cannot be able to handle, the heaviness of these taxes. So what we're talking about is that we need to get harmonization. Not in the tax bands, because some of these tax bands are not the same. Because the laws of this country gives every entity in the schedules and the annexes of the Constitution the provision of the taxes that they can be able to collect for them to be able to operate. So when you talk about harmonization, maybe when there are two taxes the same, you merge them together, but you'll find that these two taxes are not, it's not the issue of double taxing or double taxation, but the issue of this many taxes needs to be collected, and sometimes collected at different times. That's why you have someone from City Council comes today, he collects. Tomorrow someone from the State Revenue Authority comes in to collect. Tomorrow someone from the South Sudan National Revenue Authority comes and collect. Tomorrow I have someone from CID will come. Tomorrow someone from Fire Brigade will come, right? Tomorrow someone from CID will come. Same trader, many people over a short period of time. Definitely.
I think that's confusing.
Someone gets fatigued.
Yeah.
Someone gets tired.
Some people don't even know that these are different people.
Absolutely.
They just consider it Juba City Council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we're saying is that, let's try and harmonize our activities. Supposedly, if there is a tax that is in the law, in the National Tax Act, South Sudan National Tax Act, and it's supposed to be implemented on the traders within Juba, and our budget here always start the same because our budget here starts on the 1st of July. So we're having this conversation that, number one, let's clean up our tax schedules. Let's see the taxes that we can collect them on annual basis. Now, we look who's best in collecting these taxes. For the case of Juba, actually, the Juba City Council, because we're everywhere. These are all our markets. We know all these people. So let's try and harmonize our activity. So if I'm doing my trading license, if CID has the fingerprints that is allowed by the law, we link it together. Yeah. If the fire brigade wants to do inspection of their fire extinguishers, we do everything together at the same time when we're doing the trading license. So that this trader struggles and settles it, and then no one comes to them again until next year. Like this one, you give them the ease and the easiness. This is one. Number two, what we're saying is that, we also try to look at the rouge, or the rogue, operatives that are happening in the markets. We come together as responsible government entities. Yeah, we try to find them and identify them. And I must, really appreciate CID, the Department of CID, that we had conversations, and even yesterday we had a phone conversations with the directors that on early in the week we need to call the traders again because we had a meeting before where all these things have come out. They have some reports they want to give us, some of the people that they've arrested, maybe some of people in organized forces that they've arrested that are doing the wrong things in the market. We hope that when we have these exchanges in terms of experiences, in terms of the challenges, we can make sure that the end result will contribute into easiness of the lives of these traders. Internally within City Council, of which I'm responsible, right? City Council, as I gave you the definition today, I only stopped at the office of the mayor and the arms of the government. But the office of the mayor is decentralized, whereby what makes Juba City Council is 3 block councils: Kator, Juba, Munuki. And of course, Kator, Juba, Munuki have its own zones, but of course they all report into 1 block. And the way how we implement our work is that every block is responsible for the territory where they operate in also mobilizing their tax collections and resources under the supervision of the office of the mayor, right? But we've seen challenges that is happening like that. You'll find that there is a corporate, yeah? They're headquartered in Juba town, which is under Juba Block Council, but they have branches in territories of Juba, of Qatar Town Block, or maybe they have branches in territory of Muniki Town Block. The practice so far is, when it comes to time of conformity to requirements, right? You find that the Block Council of Munuki approaches the institution at the headquarters separately. You find Juba approaching separately. You find Qatar is approaching separately. So it makes it difficult, because when you go to that institution, to that entity, you'll find that it's that same office that is managing the affair of that institution when it comes to that. Now, when they start getting it from 3 different sites and it's one institution, it's a bit confusing. So we've decided that we're going to harmonize our operation.
Okay.
So when you have an entity that is all over, is headquartered somewhere, then the headquarter take the responsibility and ensure that we bring all this together, the information, you collect them together, yeah, and it becomes one, so that only one person goes and approaches. For example, Nela Grace Corporation and City Council, Juba does not come to you, Qatar does not come to you separately, so that we do away with the issue, of the fatigue. How do we ensure that, even there is discipline within our force or our workforce in terms of the tax collection? Is that we have decided to ensure that we have the identity of the officers who are tasked with the issue of revenue collection very clear. Everyone can be able to identify them. So we have passed a resolution. All our rent collectors are going to be having uniforms.
Okay.
And with this uniform, every single person will have a control number. A number that can be identified to only you, yourself. So if you go out there and you do something wrong, or you try to do something wrong, the concerned person will have the opportunity to be able to report back, and then investigation will be done. This is one. We have the administrative officers, because I spoke about the rent collectors. We have the administrative officers. And the administrative officers, that all of them coming from one source, which is the Ministry of Local Government and Law Enforcement Agencies. That's the mother ministry, and they're all on deployments to either City Council, to Juba County, or all the counties. So for me, as a leader of Juba City Council, I also want to make sure that the officers who go out and reportedly are doing bad things are really the officers of Juba City Council, so I can identify them, and I do the corrective measures to it.
That would be great.
So also we're giving the administrative officers the same control numbers on their uniforms, although the administrative officers, so that I can be able to identify them that this is not Juba County officers, and this account Juba City Council officers, because it's the same officers from the same mother ministry. What we have done, we have established the public relations unit at Juba City Council, never existed before. The work of this public relations office is to collect all complaints and issues that are happening out there, inform and advise the leadership of the council, design ways and approaches of how we can be able to reach out to people so that they know their rights, so that they can also have a very clear lines of communication with the institution, and also do an outreach program so that we can be able to educate our clients, who are the traders and the business people of the city, on their rights. In institutions like the revenue collection, the South Sudan Revenue Authority and other revenue authorities, they have a whole department called tax education, right? Maybe in the future, City Council will have that. But right now, for the status, we're going to have the public relations office. We're also in conversation with MTN at the moment to set up a call center with a toll-free number, so that if there's anything that you think have happened to you in the wrong way out there,
You report.
you just call, and we can be able to respond to you as fast as we can. The immediate things we have done since my assumption of the office of the mayor is that we have stopped some of the practices that is considered as harassment, to the traders. From day one when I took over the office and when I got installed on my seat and in the office of the mayor, I've declared that let all the administrative officers and rent collectors carry all their padlocks and lock them in a store somewhere. Because the issue of the padlock is a very contentious issue where the officers of Juba City Council go and lock people's shops to force you to pay. Now, as much as locking down shops or business premises is a means of enforcement, I honestly, strongly also believe that it's been abused. It has not only become a tool of enforcement, but it has become a tool of coercion, whereby they will coerce you so that you can act very fast. Yeah? They can act very fast because they close it. Even I hear stories of, they only don't padlock you one padlock, even they can put for you 5 padlocks.
Yeah. I'm glad that you have the information.
Of course,
The right people will get the feedback they deserve today.
That even they give you 5 padlocks. And for them to release all these 5 padlocks, each one of them is 50,000. So it's 250,000. So
is that one of the rules?
No. That's why I canceled it. I have stopped it. Right? I took it to the executive council. As I said, of course, city council is an institution. Padlocking or closing down places is a tool of enforcement, right? But to bring sanity around this thing, you have to make it a little bit bureaucratic. It must be made a bit bureaucratic. What do I mean by making it bureaucratic? Of course, my colleagues in the executive council said that, your worship, if you do this, these people are very difficult out there. They're difficult people who don't want to comply. They'll take advantage. I told them there is no problem. Look here. You are a government entity, and you're an entity that is fully fledged. You have your legislators, and you have your magistrate bench court, and you have your laws. Yeah, you have the right of arresting someone. If they've done something wrong, take them, let them face the law. You have the powers. We have a competent judge who is sitting on the magistrate bench court, right? So if you have these things all in your hand, you don't have to use coercive measures and methods to do that. Now, if you still feel that locking is the way to do it, there is no problem, but one condition. The one condition is that there is only one person in Juba City Council who is authorized to approve the locking, and that is the chief executive officer, who is the accounting officer of the institution.
Does the money they get out of the locking goes to Juba City Council?
Let me come to you to that.
Yeah.
So why do I say that only one person should do that? Because the process of you getting to the chief executive officer, you have to go from, if you're a field officer, you have to go through your zonal director, and the zonal director has to go to the block director to get permission. And the block director has to go to the chief executive officer.
They just forget about it.
Because you're going to be asked many questions. Right? I mean, how do we go out and collect taxes from people? The first thing we do is we give you a demand note. Yeah? And the demand note is 72 hours. In these 72 hours, we don't tell you that you have to pay within 72 hours. But within 72 hours, you have to contact the nearest city council unit. Now, when you go to the city council unit, right? If you have the amount of the fees that is being asked from you, and if you're convinced that this is the fees that is being collected from you, you pay. If you don't have it, you make an arrangement with them. Yeah, even we allow installments. We allow scheduled payments, because we're a government entity. We're not going anywhere. Yeah?
Yeah.
Probably even a business will collapse and will still be there. Yeah? So, because if you're there, so within the budget year, you can discuss and you can have an arrangement that is done. And this is allowed. It's allowed within our structures. Yeah. Now, asking me if this money of the padlock goes there or not. Very difficult question to answer because I would not know how many padlocks were used even.
That's a very important
That's
feedback
why.
for the business
That's
owners.
why.
Yeah.
That's why. Number one, I have to cancel it.
Okay.
Right. And number two, if it's happening there, I need to get the information. That's why we are doing the toll-free line. We're having these people that you can reach out to, right? And if you know a number of the mayor or the number of the chief executive officer of the deputy mayor, you call. But of course, the officers within city council, they know the consequences of continuing with padlocking. And I'm very happy and I'm very proud to say that this has stopped actually. I don't know when was the last time you heard about a place that has been padlocked. In the last 1 month, zero. Because we've stopped it effectively.
What's the main source of revenue for City Council?
You see, I told you we have 7 revenue bands. One is a trading license. Yeah. Every entity, even a studio, if it's for business, you have to get a trading license. Or maybe you're getting an operator's license. I don't know. But if you generate money here, definitely you have to get a trading license. So every single entity that is doing business within this territory must acquire a trading license, and there is a fee for a trading license. And the fees are not very expensive, actually, because different size of business, different activity has its own, bond that is passed to us every year in our budget through the Legislative Council. The second fee that we have is what we call the user service charge, right? What people call Gurusha Umda, mayor's fee.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
You just believe all the money comes to the mayor.
Of course, that's what the
goes to the mayor.
But it's called, it's a user service charge. And then number 3 items, we have the sanitation license for businesses that run, in the lines of, providing food, accommodation, and all this, because we have to ensure that the sanitation is also proper, because before we give you the license, the Public Health Department of City Council must go and do inspection and check. And connected with the sanitation license, you have the health cards for people who are serving foods and drinks, restaurants and hotels. The other item we have is what we call the town rates, right? For businesses and also for residential houses. And that's a very important element of our taxation, because the town rates, and then the 6th one is what they call the rental value tax. I'm going to talk about this too in a short while. And then the last one is the garbage fee. The amounts of money that we collect from different businesses to help in moving the equipment and the and the workers who are working in collecting garbage and refuse. Now, the main 2 taxes that can really develop this city is the town rates and the rental value tax. The town rates are known. All municipalities collect that one. You collect it from businesses and from households. Yeah? Because it's like the ground rents for the plot that you're having. All cities of this world, people pay for town rates. Only in South Sudan, they don't pay.
Not yet?
Not yet. But businesses pay, and also it has issues.
Okay.
And the other important one is the rental value, which is in other places called the property tax.
Yes.
Right? And it's very contentious, because what the law tells us, and we derive most of our laws from the laws of our mother country, that was Sudan. What the law tells us on this issue of the rental value is that 1 month of the 12 months for a case of rented property is the value. That's why we call it rental value. Is 1 month of the 12 months that is for the city, for the government. And this is the most important tax, that if you want to see that this city is having proper roads, this city is having proper drainages, because doing infrastructure is very expensive. Yeah? So this is a tax that needs to be paid. This is a tax that needs to be collected. It has been there within the books of the council, but implementation has been very, very difficult for 1 or 2 reasons. Number 1, dishonesty by the landlords who own the properties. Someone will have a property, maybe they're generating about $10,000 a month. But when the government come to them, they say, it's only $1,000 I'm getting. So instead of paying $10,000 to the government, they'll pay $1,000. Even they go to the extent of having one contractual document that is genuine, and they'll create another one that is for the purposes of government, right? I've heard stories also, right, that some of the revenue officers of the council, when they come and the tax or the rental value of your property is known. Yeah, because I hear these are feedbacks I get from business people, They'll come and they'll say, oh, listen, it's $5,000. But why do you pay the government? This is a revenue officer, government officer, I'll tell you. Why do you pay $5,000 to the government? You give me 1,000. Pay the government 1,000 in SSP. Keep the balance for you. Right? Yeah, this is stories.
Corruption at a high level.
Of course. I mean, if I will say that, we don't have these malpractices within our institution also, I think it will be very misleading.
How do you tackle them?
That's why I mentioned to you before. Now, we have all these issues that are happening. Now, for us to be able to fix this problem and ensure that these two important items, especially the issue of the rental value, is well collected, there are a few things we have to do. Number one, we have decided and we've put the plans in place that we're going to map out Juba. We're going to map out Juba. And this mapping out of Juba, by the way, when I was the mayor in the previous tenure, we have done this activity because we knew it's a challenge. We need to know, and this one is actually bringing the issue of our budget making process, at the limelight. Because for you to make a budget and to know this forecasted budget is real or is not real, you must know the size of the elephant you have in the room. So I must know the size of Juba in terms of all the business activities, in terms of all the residential houses, in terms of all the things that I think we have a mandate to collect our taxes from. I must know the size. Numbered, documented somewhere. Okay? So we're going to map out Juba. Even your place will have a number.
Okay.
Right? And you'll be stored in our database. The size, the location, the streets. You know that this street has a name. We named it back in 2015. It was an initiative that I started for these purposes. Naming of the streets of Juba for clear identification. We're going to do the mapping of Juba. And this mapping of Juba is going to be done in collaboration with our quarter councils because they're the real people, because all the businesses happen within our quarters anyway. Okay? So when we map Juba, we know all these locations, neighborhood by neighborhood, area by area. We would have captured them, we will know the size of these locations. This is one. Number two, I have 2 laws that is on the table of my legislators. It's one law addressing 2 issues. We need a law, that needs to be developed for us to give the council the power to do valuation. Okay? To do valuation of a property when we feel that the owner or the landlord is trying to cheat the government.
This brings us to one of the most heartbreaking and traumatizing incidents ever in Juba. People believe that after City Council removed vendors from custom, the next day, the fire that took place broke out. What's your feedback on that?
Well, first of all, what I want to say is that, and I said it many times, that I really want to empathize, with the people who have lost their properties, and their savings and their livelihood in the Nyakuron market. I call it's Nyakuron market actually.
Yes.
Yeah, people call it custom Nyakuron market. The incident was very tragic. It's not good by all standards. And I really pray that, these traders, I know they're very resilient. They've built up their livelihood through the resilience that they have so that they come back on their feet. Really, it's very tragic. Now, I've heard it a lot because, as I said, I'm not only a mayor who sits in my office, but I'm on the air, I'm everywhere, I listen to conversations. Of course, people try to say that, the incident that led, or the issues that led to the fire in market is because the vendors are being removed. But if really there is a vendor that has done that, then this is someone who's very unpatriotic, someone who's very irresponsible. Because the activity of the city council, removing the vendors from the side of the roads, is for their own protection, because I sat with the vendors. We had a lot of discussions with them. Roads are meant for motorists. Roads are meant for vehicles to pass. And you who is trying to sit on the road and trade is not in control of that steering wheel that is driving. Even 2 years ago or so, we had an incident around the compound of Nyokoron Cultural Center where a driver lost control and ran over the vendors who were there and killed 2 or 3 people, if I'm not mistaken. So the decision to remove these vendors is anchored on 2 things. Is it life or livelihood? If you're given that choice to choose, and there's someone who is responsible, is it life or livelihood? Of course, I would always choose life. Because when there is life, I can always be livelihood in one way or the other. Look at the vendors. And of course, we walk when we are busy with few other things. They try to come back. The forces we put on the ground, they come back, we go. It's like, a cat and mouse game. It's not supposed to be like that, right? These vendors, they got a place to move in Castle, but they refuse to move out because they feel that the best place for them to trade is to trade on the road. This is the unfortunate part of it. We're not saying that you guys just move and go anywhere. There is a place. And most of them have moved in, they've met. It's an arrangement done between the Juba City Council and the University of Juba. The place is there. We're telling them to move, they don't want to move. Because they feel that if they're in there, people will not access them. They want to be on the street. Very fast they will sell, and this is a problem. Now, these people sitting there, God forbid, a huge truck comes in. Someone has lost control. People are killed. Who is going to be asked? Who is going to be questioned? Of course, the number one person also going to be asked is the mayor, because I have the responsibility and the mandate to keep the order and law of the city. So the activity of the whole thing of the vendor and organizing it is to ensure that we protect their lives, first of all, right? And we organize them so that they can go in. This is one. Number 2, let's even look, because fires do happen in all our markets every year.
A good example is Konyo Konyo.
The other day, just it happened in Konyo Konyo, right? And I prayed to God, actually, that I wish, I had the opportunity to enter into that Nyakuron market. Because, we are on a very serious drive to organize our markets. And this is not going to stop. And organizations, always very painful process, because when things are not organized, we demolish, we remove, we do things. Of course, we notify the people, I only pray that I wish that I went into that market, with the organization direction that we're doing, because that market would have been saved from the fire. Because the fire engines came to that market to rescue the fire. But what encountered them was accessibility problem.
Is that why it took almost a day and a half?
They could not access the market. They could not go in because there are no roads, because people have built and it became like a cobweb of business activity in the market, So this is because fires and living, they're always together. Every year, especially starting from November, December, during the dry season, because the dry season, everything is dry, the heat is very, very high temperatures. Fires do happen in many markets, and not only in Juba, but in all the neighboring countries, areas that are experiencing this weather phenomena at this time of the year. So these fires do happen. The fire that happened in Konyo Konyo, about a month and a half ago or so, if it wasn't for good accessibility, it could have been worse.
You managed to rescue them
not managing. No, the rescue did not happen that particular day.
Yeah.
But the event that happened before the fire rescued that market, because there is a road down there in Sukteki. That we opened that road about a month before the fire happened. We've cleared it, we've paved it, so you can access that area of the market from all direction. And that gave the fire engine the ability to be able to access the fire at a very short time. And of course, their response was very swift and very quick. From the time the fire started, from the time the information went to them, from the time all of us, because I got to the site of the incident at the same time that the fire engine was getting there, and everything just happened. And this is very important. So accessibility and organization of markets are very important, right? And my message actually to the people of Juba and to the vendors, I know that this issue brought in a lot of discomforts, but we must accept that we live in cities that are organized and we try to organize. The reason for the lack of organization are the people itself. It's not the government, right? And I do understand that, living conditions are very difficult. People are trying to get by. There are many things in this city, if I have to apply the law that I'm mandated to do, they cannot exist. But I use the discretion of a leader. Yeah? Where we can do, where we cannot do. Where I think is a threat to life itself, I must act as a responsible civil servant. Where it's not, I try to go slow on it because I know that these people who are doing the vendoring, these people who are selling by the side of the road, right? They're also supporting families. They're supporting, children going to school. They're supporting medical bills, yeah? But there must be a balance. We must always create that balance. And on daily basis, this is my job, creating that balance. I'm not living in an, oblivion, not knowing what is happening in the city. Mm-hmm. But we must find that balance. So if you see in the neighborhoods, deeper in the neighborhoods, we have never touched people who are doing vendoring, who are selling by the side of their homes. Although if you'll ask me, in terms of the public health, in terms of hygiene, in terms of all these things that they're handling the food, they cannot even pass. They cannot even achieve 10% of what is required out of them. God forbid there is a problem and people are running. There'll be a stampede. Yeah? Just even for you running for your life, you'll be actually, harming other people. Mm-hmm. So connecting the fire of custom to the activities of the government, I think is a red herring. There is no connection anywhere. Even people who try to allude to that, mm-hmm. I think even they're trying to amplify things that are not very good for this society. Because it's like telling people that these criminals who are attacking people every night, and killing people and stealing people's goods, yeah, because they're threatening people's lives. Yeah, if we try to work and remove them out, clam on them, then they can go and break into people's houses, maybe burn a market. You can't give this analogy. Yeah, you can't. So we must be responsible citizens, right? And I want to believe that the fire in Custom Market is a natural phenomenon, right? Because investigation committee was formed, it was going on. Yeah, there are areas whereby they said the fire started from that area. There is an electric short circuit. There's some women doing this and that. Some fire left in the market. Like the fire in Konyo. The reason for the fire was very simple. The women who are making the peanut butter, pasting it and everything, when they did the things in the night, they did not put the fire because the fires don't go off, right? These fires run day in, day out. Through bad luck, it caught some flame somewhere, it went to one thing to the other, and it led to that. So you cannot blame that someone had bad intention. But these are accidents, and fires are accidents, and they do happen. Yeah.
We had mothers screaming loudly about city council being the reason why that happened to them. We had students who support their own schools through the small businesses they had. Was there any support given to them out of just maybe support to what happened to them to regain and start their small businesses again?
Well, we started in conversations because this, to give us support to an incident of that magnitude, we'll need a faceted stakeholding activity. We started the Chamber of Commerce for the city. We sat together with the governor. I know the president has also pledged support, to the people. And I know that, the committee is working. The conversations are going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure support will come in one way or the other. If it's not only even through giving them material support, maybe it could be in terms of policy, maybe it could be in terms of rebates. I know the market is trying to come up again. Yeah.
It's better than this now.
Yeah, it's trying to come up again. At the level of the government of the state, we have given some order through His Excellency the Governor about how these shops could come up. So we're in conversations with them. Mm-hmm. Whatever they're doing there now, we have not gone in as a government to do what we're supposed to do in markets. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help them out in ensuring that organization is done properly. not to start asking them to pay taxes, to do this because of everything that had happened, because we're very empathic to their situation. Yeah.
Do you have a message for them right now if they're going to watch this interview?
Well, my message to them is that, number one, as I said from day one, we're very empathic. يعني احنا خدينا بعضنا
في
في محلهم.
نعم.
To feel the pain that they're going through.
نعم.
Yeah. And me as the leader of Juba City Council, an entity that is mandated in organization of the city and the markets, will want to ensure that this activity is done in such a way that if there is fire tomorrow again, because I cannot say that fire will never happen. Number one, putting mitigation in place to ensure that ما في حريق يحصل تاني مرة. Is a في حريق, it must be contained in a specific area so that the damage is not colossal. It's not like the way it happened.
No.
And I want to tell him that we as government Juba City Council, we're going to work with them to ensure that their life is easy. We're going to advocate on their behalf with all other different government entities so that these people get some reprieve and some relief to ensure that they come back on their feet again. Mm-hmm. Governments are here to stay for a very long time. So we're going to work with them and to ensure that, their livelihood comes back to where it was before.
And I hope this message really lands in the right place. Talking about roads right now, it's one of the challenges that I think Juba City is now trying to look at. What progress do we have when we talk about the roads in the city right now?
I say that, making sure that roads are better in this city is a second priority, for this leadership. Juba City Council is mandated with the responsibility to ensure that the internal roads within the city are passable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because within the city we have different levels of roads, based on the capacity and the magnitude of the undertaking that needs to be, to be taken into consideration. Since 5 months, we have worked in a total of about 13, 14 roads, paving them, doing maraming, making that they are passable, and the citizens have enjoyed. They're very happy. They talked about it. But of course, the state of our roads are very bad. So the need is so huge. The ability is very, very small. But we're working on that. We have looked at roads from different perspectives. We've looked at the roads that are existing, the ones that are paved, which are having a lot of potholes because maintenance or repairs were not done in quite a bit of time. And our hope and all the things that we've done, that before the rainy season, we should have seen all the potholes within the roads that are there should have been done. And we've started together with the National Ministry of Roads and Bridges. We have done the ministry's roads from the presidency all the way to Crown Hotel through the State Secretariat. We've gone all the way to Airport Road to Lilies. Maybe if you've driven in those segments of the road a month ago and you drive now, the experience is different. It's our plan to ensure that all the potholes within Juba is achieved as far as the potholes are concerned in terms of repairs, because for us the roads are not only just making the roads so that you can just find it easy just to go around, but if the roads are good, we reduce on traffic jams. If the roads are good, we reduce on accidents, because usually we see there's people trying to dodge the potholes and they end up knocking someone, If the roads are better, we ensure that even service delivery gets better, that in terms of not only the asphalted road, but the roads in the neighborhoods. Like one of the things that we have put in plan, and I mentioned earlier in terms of the issue of waste collection and the movement of this equipment, without even proper roads, they cannot be able to move around. So these roads are very essential components for our service delivery, be it cleaning the city, being security, moving around, being even, if someone is sick, they want to be taken somewhere they can be accessed. So roads are very important. So we're going to make sure that we're going to put whatever it takes, right, to ensure that these roads are done. In the near future, you will see that, there are certain roads in Gudele that we're going to start working on. The plan was initially to do it even before the rainy season, but because of the challenges of the fuel issues and of course issues of budgets, even with the innovation that we try to do, certain components are not falling in place on the right time that we're supposed to do it. But now it's even better for us because when we do it, then also we look at the issue of waterways and drainages. Because we know that the most area that is affected by flood waters
Stomping.
and areas, Gudele is number one actually, worse than Tomping, you know. And why? Because it's at the mouth of the streams where it comes from the mountains. Number two is very expansive. It's very big and very huge, you know. And number three, that's where a lot of our population of the city actually reside. Of course, Tomping has its own dynamics also, yeah. But again, when you talk about this issue of roads and floods, it's not only because the roads are not made, but there is a lot of encroachment, yeah, that has happened legally. You know, see, I'm using two words that could not qualify themselves, yeah, encroachment and legally. You know, we have in our surveys, the way how surveys are done in this city, we found that people have been allocated even plots on streams. So for them to make sure that their plots become habitable, they have to find a way and block these water so that they can be able to build a house, right? So this is an encroachment into waterway, but this encroachment is being legalized by proper documentation. And you know, water, you can never block it because you block water, it will always find its way. And when it finds its way, it's very aggressive. And this is what is actually happening.
I think the reason to why I mentioned Tomping, definitely Gudele, especially Block 5 is crazy.
Block 5, Block 4, Block 7.
Yeah. The recent rain did affect people so much in Tomping, where we did observe a woman having a kid on top of a house trying to make sure that they protect themselves from the rain. So why doesn't Juba have good systems to remove rainwater?
Number one, let's talk about this recent rain. You know, this year, the region is going to experience heavy downpours. Heavy downpours that even cities that are more upgraded than Juba in terms of its infrastructure is going to experience serious problems. So we as citizens of Juba, we have to brace for that. That's going to happen. Of course, we have to look for ways for mitigation at a personal level, but also at the level of government entities and responsible people. Maybe you've seen in Nairobi, even downtown is so flooded, places like KICC and many places. Even in Kampala, downtown is so flooded that people are actually swimming, you know. Shopping arcades are all flooded with water. So this year the rains are going to be above the normal averages that are going to be received. And that's very unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about it. You know, these are natural phenomena that are happening. In terms of Tomping from day one, from its setup, has issues of drainages because the planning is done, the surveys are done, but no proper drainages have been put in place. But again, I want to tie this one to what I was talking about earlier on.
Okay.
To be able to do this, you need to have funding, right? There is no a magic one that any mayor in this city can have and strike somewhere and things happen. You need to have resources, huge resources. As long as our citizens are not paying for the taxes, for their town rates, for the rental values, for whatever they're supposed to pay. And for as long as Juba City Council is only going to collect an equivalent of not even more than $3 million in a year, it's impossible. That is impossible. So this conversation is very important.
Right.
Because every citizen must know, if you want your government to do for you something, you have to own it. And the ownership is just very simple. It's pay your taxes. You know, Willma, this activity is only collecting garbage from neighborhoods. The quarter councils have been tasked on behalf of the institution. You go to a household because they come to report, someone will tell you, sorry, I cannot pay you. Of course, I have garbage to be collected, but I cannot pay you because I have not been paid for 2 years' salary. Where do you expect me to get money from? You know, we've been moving out with the one grader we have, and the one backhoe we have, and the one roller we have, paving roads, removing sand from the roads, opening drainages so that we don't have water clogs even on our tarmac roads. And we want to try as much as possible in the areas of concern, that we open these simple drainages so that the water can go away. But this is not the best way to do it. Juba needs to have drainages, well-built drainages. Juba needs to, because Juba has a very good survey in terms of the plots and leeways for the roads where we can put our drainages and stuff, right? Yeah, but we need to do better. And to do better can never be city council alone.
I believe that all the questions are being answered today. And I think we're going to the last question to call this a beautiful conversation. This is the longest episode in history of the Deeper Conversation. We did not try to restrict it because the information is very, very important. We were ready to go for that. So the last question, the last question does focus on the drug use. And with the street kids, the teenagers right now, it's becoming alarming. I did see one of the initiatives by you that was very impactful.
It looked like something that I busted somewhere.
That was quite a good move. How does City Council make sure that this is implemented and the drug use among the teenagers is restricted for them not to lose lives, not to get into risky situations?
Well, first of all, the activity that you see on the screen was actually for us just to get the taste of what is happening in the city. Of course, we have a lot of information, as I said, as a level of a government that is so close to the people, with the mandates that we have, being in charge of the security of the city, being in charge of the livelihood of the city. This issue of substance abuse is a national security threat to this nation, because it's affecting the composition of our society that is actually the future. The young people, the youth are the future of this country. And it's been my worry and concern since I took over the helm of the leadership of the council, is that the practice of illicit substances within the city is a great concern. I took it to all the forums that I think I can be able to take this conversation. We had deeper discussions, and the leadership of the state, through His Excellency the Governor of the state, has heard our cries. Of course, he has also his ways of getting a lot of information. Task us as the expanded State Security Committee for Central Equatorial State. You can see the strong lady standing next to me was the former Minister of Health.
Yeah.
Honorable Nejwa Mursal was invited as the responsible person in terms of the health sector of the state to join us in this pilot campaign, really to understand the magnitude of this illicit substances. Now, these illicit substances are not only drugs, but even some of them, they are prescription medication.
Yeah.
That is used for
like
tramadol.
Tramadol.
Yeah, like tramadol. Codeine. The Piritex is codeine used for cough. Tramadol is the next in line to morphine with people who are having severe pains. So they're very important prescription drugs. Right. But the selling of it is very abused. So this brings into question the people who practice pharmaceutical trading, and what are the controls that they have in terms of classified medication and how this medication is supposed to be sold. We have seen bangi, or they call it hashish, or they call it weed. It depends on
marunji or whatever.
Yeah, I'm talking about the bangi.
Do we have people that know it?
Yeah.
I think the bangi
it depends on what segment of the hyped society Yeah.
But how is it going to be controlled?
Yeah, it's called Bangi. We have the Marunji, the Mira, the Khat, like the Somalis call it. Yeah. They're all in our markets and all accessible very easily.
And that's the problem.
Now, how did they get into our streets? How did they get into there? Of course, we know by the laws of this country, these are all illegal substances, especially the Marunji and the wheat. The medication, of course, we need it for treating people.
Right.
Yeah, for coughs and for pains, right? And they're supposed to be to be brought in a very classified manner. The bang is not supposed to be on our shops, on our kiosks. But with what is happening, it makes me to believe that our borders are porous. Our nets for safety of these things is very porous. And for us to be able to fight this thing, we need a multi-stakeholder approach to it. Because combating it, in terms of removing it from the hands of the people who are using it, is what we, the city, can be able to do. Is one total different thing. But the most important one is, how do we jointly ensure that we seal our porousness? If it's at the border, if it's at our checkpoints, if it's busting the networks that are trading in them, it's a total different story. So we need to have a multi agency, government levels, stakeholders to come in together and fight this. Because if this is not fought, it's a very big problem. The future of this country is at a very big risk. So this is our advocacy. We have piloted it to know how deep it is. We're going to continue in a bigger way to combat by doing these random checks, by doing these random campaigns, to ensure that we remove it out of the hands of the people trading with it. Maybe arrest some people, because we have laws surrounding this kind of...
those who are involved, like the street kids?
Because actually, we don't even arrest the street kids who use them.
How do we stop them?
Because you have to go to where they're sold from, so that they don't have access. You have to go to where they're sold from, because you have to make sure that there is no access. Yeah? So arresting a small kid is not the solution. Arresting a user is not the solution. Even in laws of many countries, you have a different penalty when you're a consumer than when you are a trafficker or a trader. Right? So we have to go to where it's been distributed from, where it's traded from, and apply severe punishment and severe repercussions to ensure that we try to stop them not to do that. You might not stop it completely, but I think what we're talking about here is we have to reduce it, minimize it, bring it to a level, because it has existed in our society for a very long time. Growing up as a child in this town and city, right? I've always known that, people smoke bangi. You sit somewhere, even I've never tested it in my life anyway. I mean, some people do it. But because of the exposure, when people smell, like smoke, you can smell someone is smoking bangi somewhere. So it's been there since we're kids,
Yeah.
So, but what we need to do is that we need to find a way of reducing it to levels that is not that very harmful to a glaring number of kids that we have. I mean, talking about this is one thing, but also there's another problem that we have. Alcohol abuse.
Alcohol abuse.
It's a big problem.
The cheap ones. The small bottled alcohol that is very affordable.
Absolutely.
We need it off the market.
Absolutely. We have been talking about this. We've been advocating for it seriously. I'm sure our advocacy, because the truth of the matter is that even some of them are even produced inside the country. Right?
Like which one?
They call it what? These days they call it kasongo.
Al-Khutab Ahmar da?
Khutab Ahmar da. It has many names. Yeah?
Many names. What's the recent name? Bora?
Bora. These days they call it kasongo.
Kasongo.
I don't know they call it what. And the factories are within the country. Right? And the damage it's causing in people is crazy. I'm sure, if you go through the the public health facilities where they do autopsies on dead people, they'll find that, there is a significant amount of deaths that happen here that are alcohol related. And if you go deeper probably into this cheap alcohol that people are drinking, right? Now we're saying that instead of bringing this harmful manufacturing and production of this substance in this country, right? And you want to make business, why don't we look at different ways of how you can make business, even produce beverages that actually
Instead of alcohol.
can have benefits in people's life. Like for example,
True juice.
I've learned that true juice is manufactured in the country actually the first time. Very unfortunate as the mayor. I think I need to visit this factory because
that would be great.
I need to advocate for them because these are the kind of things that are
true juice is of quality, fresh.
That we need to produce, and make sure that our kids,
are healthy.
Enjoy them, find a reason why to drink them because it will benefit something into their lives rather than the alcohol that we see happening here. But Willma, we are also advocating very hard and the issues surrounding it. When we worked very hard, and I know the previous administrations in the state have gone ahead and banned these factories not to produce this alcohol. But we came to realize that within the mandates of the laws of this country, that manufacturing and factories are regulated at the national level, but not at the level of the state. So if they are regulated at that level, then definitely if there's any regulation or cancellation, anything has to happen at that level. I must also proudly say that, 1 week ago I had a conversation with the new executive director for National Bureau of Standards. And one of the issues actually we talked about the issue of this alcohol. This is a very secular country where people are encouraged to do businesses, and alcohol is not forbidden in this country. It's not. We don't have legal frameworks that forbids alcohol or make people not to be able to produce or drink alcohol. But I think the point we try to talk about is the regulation and the type of alcohol that is produced
allowed or produced
and it's allowed here, in terms of packaging of the alcohol as well, in terms of applying policies that can limit or make it restrictive for the vulnerable segment of our society. Like I can give you an example in some of the advanced countries, the high income countries, European countries, cigarettes and alcohol, although it's not forbidden, it's discouraged, but it's discouraged in a way that you try to make them a little bit more expensive, no? You levy very high taxes on them that the people who can afford it are really people who have the money. And the assumption is that when you have that money, you're always very knowledgeable. So if you're going to do it, you know why you're doing it. And if there's any harm that is coming out of it, you'll know how to face it. Number two, the high taxes also will help the country and the responsible institutions to have money so that they can be able to deal with the consequences and the aftermath that is created by the alcohol itself. So these are the kind of policies that one would like to see happening in this country at all different levels of government. At our level as Juba City Council, there's certain things that we're going to do from the next budget year that we want to restrict, that a shop that trades in alcohol should only purely trade in alcohol, but there should not be a mix and matching of alcohol and food stuff, because like this, you're trying to make it more easy and more available to anyone who is buying it. We have to make it difficult, because if you make it difficult, maybe 50%, you'll discourage 50% of the people not to buy it, if it's difficult. How many times in the night there is something that you wanted to buy and you really think you need it, but actually it's not very important, you can wait up to tomorrow morning, and because it's late and because it's difficult to access it, you say, okay, I'll wait for tomorrow. So we want to make alcohol to be like that. It has to be a little bit difficult to access.
Inshallah. The last question, Your Worship, and then we call it a beautiful day. What's your feedback on the growing number of hotels in the city of Juba right now?
Hotels are okay. There's no problems with hotels.
Teenagers or young people are having access to hotels.
This is where the problem is, any business person will not do a business when there is no need for that business. We know that Juba is still faced with huge problem in terms of accommodation. You know, we have only 20%, or we have met only 20% of the needs for accommodation of housing that we need to have, within this city. So Juba needs a lot of accommodation. And when you see any business that is booming, that means that there is a need for it, right? So when the hotels are coming up, there is a need for hotels. If they're just growing up without, or growing in huge numbers, without the planning and feasibility side of the owners, then definitely some of them will be very vacant. People will not be there. I want to see that businesses in this city grow, because the more expansive service base is more employment, to the residents of this city, because we need employment. People need to be employed. The more business I have, my tax base also is becoming bigger, so I can be able to collect revenues that I can be able to do the things that I want to do in the city. But these businesses must grow responsibly.
That's the point.
Must have conditions, and we have bylaws and conditions, on how these hotels operate, and how these issues of teenagers accessing hotels and getting into these deviant activities within the city. We have a plan we've put in place, to ensure that, we combat and we do random checks and monitoring in these facilities. Very soon, I have a meeting with the Hotel Association members of the city, and one of the topics of conversation we're going to have is about this issue of children, nightclubs, discos in the hotel, issues of serving alcohol to the small kids. We have a whole day agenda that we've set out to have a conversation with them, because the nature of the work that my institution involved itself in is that we must always give people notice of everything that we're going to do, because education is very important. So that tomorrow someone will not claim ignorance, that they're not being informed, they don't know. So we have done a whole program of engagement with the Hotel Association owners to talk about all the issues that we think we need, from issues of taxation to issues of sanitation to issues of hygiene to issues of social deviances and problem of teenagers and issues of drug abuse, because also we have information that even some of these hotels, they have joints where these illicit substances are sold. So we want to make sure that they understand that we're aware. They understand also that we are going to act very swiftly and very firmly and very strongly to ensure that, we want to make these hotels to be safe, to be free of these teenagers, and to be conducting the business that they intend to do as per their business plans. So we're going to make sure that this is done, and very soon you will hear and you will see. Maybe you have noticed something, unless you come and look for it seriously. Maybe you have noticed that the city council is not so much into the media platforms vis-a-vis the amount of work that we do, because we do a lot of work actually. But our visibility is very less, because some of the issues that we deal with also are very, very sensitive. So we don't want to arouse people's feelings, and in terms of safeguarding, the majority, of the people that we try to protect and we try to do things around. And I must also confess to you that, and I'm sorry to say this, it's not attack on the media, but sometimes, you see that our social media, I don't know if they're mainstream, the way how they act is beyond the context and the subject of the things. They never focus on the real message that is coming out and the real thing that is being done. But they look at issues that are not issues that will really change the realities that we live in. So we're being very careful about that sometimes.
That's quite, I think, it's true sometimes, because everyone on social media today is actually a journalist and trying to inform, not knowing the impact of the information they put out. So we appreciate you very much for having time and giving us the honor to educate us about some of the things that business owners and citizens needed to know. What's your final message, and what do you have coming up to the citizens or business owners in South Sudan?
Well, my final message to the residents of Juba, and these are the people of South Sudan, because I lead a very unique institution where I represent the interest in terms of service delivery to the 64 tribes of this country, to all the citizens of this country, plus the foreigners that are in Juba. My message to them is that, we're working day and night to ensure that Juba is a very safe, very clean, very organized city that everyone can enjoy. If you're doing business, if you are, a child who's going to school, trying to secure a better future for yourself, if you're someone who just likes to be in Juba and a citizen of Juba, the vision of this council is to make sure that, we build a city that has its dignity for its people, a city that respects the people of this city, a city administration that respects the citizens of this, and a city that its citizen lives in harmony and peace. We're working very hard to ensure that all the issues that are affecting your life daily, if it's the issues of infrastructure, if it's issues of conducting your business, is kind of harmonized, and an easiness and an ease to the business is achieved. We're going to work day and night tirelessly to ensure that that is done. And I want to also tell the citizens of Juba that through all the mechanisms that we're trying to put in place, we want to be an administration that is accessible, that is reachable, an administration that is very transparent in the way how it does its things, an administration that is very accountable to everything that we try to do with these people, not only from the monies that we collect on your behalf to implement the work, but also in the activities that we're trying to do. We want to ensure that in the next phase, and I hope that from the next budget year, starting July, we're going to have a city council that has a very different image, a city council that will build its image and in the process also build its confidence with its people. And that is going to happen, and I need your patience. But most of all, I need your cooperation. If you can't cooperate together with the government, in terms of keeping environment clean, in terms of not throwing a litter, in terms of listening to the messages that we try to pass to you, I'm sure we can achieve that city that we always and all of us aspire to have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Your
Worship, for being part of this episode. Leaders paved the way for a better destination for the next generation. Thank you for being part of the Deeper Conversations today, and make sure that you subscribe to all our social media platforms. Remember, this episode is sponsored by True Juice and Dr. Sand Breeze of Joy. Stay tuned, stay Deeper Conversation. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.